government doesn't want you to know this. The refugee charities certainly don't want you to know this. But tonight I will show you what's really going on inside the Asylum Seeker Centre at RAF Wethersfield. Illegal migrants allegedly went berserk and smashed up the office of the site manager, causing thousands of pounds worth of damage. And we're going to play you some still images of it to start with. This is smashed doors that you can see here. There's some smashed windows. Well, this is inside the office, it appears, and computers appear to be thrown on the floor as well, as you could see before. The window at the back appears to be smashed. There's glass everywhere. There's things have just been ransacked, really, hasn't it? Computers thrown on the floor, all of that kind of stuff. Now, a whistleblower told GB News that the illegal migrants regularly fight each other as well, and that they are allowed to come and go as they please. In fact, they get free buses into local towns and cities. But when they come back, they are apparently often found with stolen goods. And we were told in one of their rooms we found blood everywhere, thousands of pounds worth of stolen stuff. The service user, now that's what they call them, they don't call them asylum seekers, they call them service users. The service user was carrying weapons and a piece of sharp broken glass inside his pocket and an unknown lady's driving licence, as well as much more. They also provided us with this video, which they claim shows someone from the Wethersfield asylum base allegedly trying to break into a house. They also showed us what appeared to be emails between some of the managers of the site, and they are recording that police had to attend due to an incident of alleged sexual harassment. The police attended, they arrested the asylum seeker and took him away. That's all according to that email there. And they also provided us with a list of names, which we're blurring for obvious reasons, but they claim that this list of names is a record of the asylum seekers that have gone missing from the site. And that is a full sheet of A4. Right, so that is a full sheet of A4 with people that they say have just absconded. Now, through the blurring, you might be able to see a little bit of yellow. And what we were told was that those are people who are apparently supposed to be isolating because they've tested positive for things like tuberculosis, scabies, or another illness. And of course, as we've said, they're not called illegal immigrants, they're called service users. But the source also told us about serious issues on the site involving alcohol and, like I said, violence amongst themselves. So look, we've got a lot going on here, haven't we? Alleged substance abuse, alleged sexual harassment, theft, violence, criminal damage, and people going on the run, all at one asylum site. Now, if that's happening there, what do you think is happening at every hotel, or crucially, in those houses of multiple occupancy now, that some of those people will most likely now be in, right across the country? So let's go to...
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com uk/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
My wonderful panel on this, and then we'll get some of the audience in as well. All are on the end now. What would you like to say about some of those revelations?
OK, so this is something that's very close to my heart. Tomorrow in Chelmsford, which is one of the towns that the men are bussed into, there are 15 coaches a day that leave at 10 o'clock from Wethersfield, and they go into Chelmsford and Colchester and Braintree, and they leave them there, and then at 7 o'clock they pick them up. So all day, these men are loitering around. They've got nothing to do. They mainly drink, they sit around, and by the end of the day you can imagine what they're doing. So tomorrow in Chelmsford we have a protest. We are expecting hundreds and hundreds of women to be at this protest. Why? Because they are all absolutely terrified of what is going on in those videos. I've seen those videos, I've seen them firsthand. I saw them a few days ago, and the ones that you've got are mild compared to the ones that I've seen. It is horrific what is going on, and it's happening there, it's happening in Crowborough, which is down in Surrey, in Sussex, and in Inverness. In the Highlands of Scotland, they have dumped 400 men outside a tiny little village. Some of those people have never left Inverness. This is what they're doing up and down the country, and the government are wondering why we are out protesting, why we're outside hotels. Ultimately, you know, we get called all the time, and you're probably going to really steam into me in a minute, and I don't care, but, you know, we are called far right, we are called racist, we're called... These men are far, far more likely to sexually assault and rape than anybody else. They have come over from cultures that are not the same as our own. They think of women as third-class citizens. They marry children that are 8 and 9 years old, and they are facts.
That's right.
OK. Oh, all right. Well, OK. Look, what I will say is that, well, because I have to, really, but obviously it's not all asylum seekers. However, we have done numerous reports on the proclivities when it comes to, for example, the rates of sexual assault amongst Afghan men. And also, we know, we've done other reports as well on things like certain cultural practices in parts of, for example, rural Pakistan, where some of those things do take place. There is a gentleman on the front row who's got a microphone here. Do you want to make a comment about what some of the stuff that you've just seen there, about the situation in general when it comes to...
Well, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm quite happy to.
Right, OK.
So we've got to bring it back to simple basics. Now, all of these immigrants are illegal. They've entered the country illegally, so they are already criminals. If they're busting up places like Wethersfield and they're assaulting people in towns, whatever they might be doing, that's further criminality. They should automatically be disqualified from applying for asylum. They should be detained in secure accommodation, and they should be deported at the earliest opportunity. It's the only way to deal with it.
Because a few years ago I did an English language program for Afghan women, actually. It's not often that I depart from journalism. I didn't do it for very long. But in the process of that, I met one of the leading policemen. It was a borough commander from West London. And he told me that he was just waiting for the powder keg to go off at one of the men-only hotels in West London. So that's not in those parts of the world, but it is in my part of the world. And the problem is, no one's got any real control over those hotels because those hotels are run by management companies like Circle or Clearspring or something like that, which means they're not accountable enough. They pass on responsibility, and that's where the problems happen. They use terminology like service users because they're used to floating around the NHS, the prison service.
And also, on that point, the amount of money that people like Serco are making, it is outrageous. It's really on our backs.
Yeah, I don't think anyone understands how much money these contracts are worth, nor how long they go on for, because some of them have only just started and they're signed for 7 years.
It's quite scary, really. Right, Christo, your views. But one of the things that stood out to me there was, so that footage that I played to you, it was a combination of different time periods, right? But one of those there was about 18 months ago. Now, the issue that I've got with that is that whoever did that, what group of people did that, we weren't allowed to know about it, were we? We were all told everything's rosy in the garden when it comes to RAF Wethersfield. There is now a very, very, very good chance that those people will have been processed, moved out. They could be in a town or village or wherever, living in a house of multiple occupancy.
Exactly.
And there are concerns about some of those people just being, I suppose, released into wider society.
And it's a lack of respect, isn't it? Because if you're brought or you come to a country where you are seeking asylum, and I've said this before, and I do believe it, that actually when you are invited into a country, when you arrive seeking asylum, if you emigrate to another country, there is a higher threshold of behaviour, I feel, that is on you than someone born in that country, because you are essentially a guest in that country, and part of, I think, integrating into a country, part of being British is not just about nationality, it's about abiding by the law and not biting the hand that feeds you. And that is what is happening there. It's also not hugely surprising as well, because when you consider that a lot of the people that come are young men, stick them all in together like that, without any accountability, that sort of thing
the problem.
is going to happen. But then I did have a thought, that I did wonder, because obviously I've just made a point about integration, but smashing things up, stealing stuff, vandalism, violence, alcohol and substance abuse, I mean, they are acting like every single major city in the UK at the moment on a Saturday night. So maybe they're actually integrating better than we first thought.
Oh, well, before we go to someone else in the audience, go on, Andy, your thoughts. I don't know if we might be able to play, if possible, some of that clip again, just to remind the viewers at home and everything of the actual damage that was caused. There it is, good stuff. What do you make of this kind of stuff? Because it does follow, by the way, I will say as well. I'm sure most people saw some of the videos of them partying in there the other day, and I did another expose from Wethersfield not so long ago that included, and I'm sorry about this because it is quite disgusting, things like them defecating on the floor and stuff like that. So what do you make of what you're seeing?
There's quite a lot to address there. I think on the point about these big service companies, absolutely agree. I think we give too much money to these, big companies that do absolutely take the mick. They do absolutely, whether it's asylum hotels, whether it's prison services, the NHS, absolutely agree on that. I think when we're looking at being housed in RAF bases or old army bases or hotels, we have to house them somewhere.
Why?
I think they shouldn't be living it. We do because look, we have to wait to process them.
They're not our problem.
I think people who are seeking asylum in the UK, because you cannot seek asylum.
It's not asylum, my love. Asylum is when you are leaving.
Please don't patronise me.
No, when you are leaving in a war-torn country. There was a man in Chelmsford in an apartment who had left Turkey. He was from Turkey. Turkey is the second most visited holiday destination for British families. He is not seeking asylum. He is an economic migrant who's coming here because he knows that we are an absolute joke.
If he's put in an asylum claim, legally he is waiting on an asylum claim. He is legally. That's not a subjective. It's not a bit of rhetoric. It is objectively true.
Right, the gentleman on the front row, guys. Sorry, just the studio. Yeah, go on. Yep.
But it should be secure. And it should be separated to protect the indigenous population.
Absolutely.
Our first priority must be our own population, particularly our own women and children.
Yes, thank you.
Can we go? Okay, hold on. Can we go to the gentleman here who's in the red? Do you want to say something? Yeah. All right. Again. Yeah. Go on. Stand up.
No, I just think it's an absolute joke, because I'm not being funny. With all due respect, the government should close the borders, and they're still not doing it. So they're facilitating these men to come in, boatloads every single day. I don't care where they've come from. They shouldn't be here. They've come over here illegally. Do you know what I mean? So it's no, it doesn't matter what race. And when people, I'm not being funny. When people like me stand up and go, well, no, they shouldn't be over here, and you got all the left go labelling us as far right racists and stuff like that. Well, no, we're not. And they're calling people that are out protesting because concerned parents are out protesting for the safety of their children, because you've got all these men on the rise of all these committing crimes, of all these illegal migrants that are getting flooded into the areas, right? How can you label a concerned parent a racist because they're threatening for the safety of their children? No, it doesn't wash, mate. Sorry, but no.
Because it shuts down debate. That's why, and it's because it's a really easy thing to say, just to absolutely shut down things. And what was interesting is there's been a lot of talk this week about the Denmark model, and Shivana and me talking about it and how far she would be prepared to go. Whether we believe her, another matter. But Denmark aren't a member of the ECHR, and their asylum arrivals has plummeted to more or less zero. And so it does show, to what you're saying, that there is a political decision. A lot of talk is given to the ECHR saying that's why we can't do anything about it. Well, actually, Denmark are a member of the ECHR, but they still do.
It's a choice.
But the government is still giving them cash incentives to leave our country, to go back to their own country. And that shouldn't be happening to rapists. Like, Deport them, but with nothing. They don't deserve a penny.
Since Labour came into power, 65,000 men have come over by boat. That is the equivalent of 3 times the O2 Arena. That's how many men we're talking about. Now, the thing is, they're in these camps. What is the plan for these men? What is the plan for them? They're coming in, we're trying to stop a flood, but the tap is still on. So these men are still coming in. We can't put them in HMO. There is no room.
All right, OK, well done, everyone. Thank you. Can I just say on this as well, one of the things that really winds me up about this is that if the people who are running that site will know about what's going on in there, so they will know. And I believe that the police will probably have a pretty good idea about what's going on in there as well. So to continue having a free bus service for these people to be bussed into neighbouring towns or cities, I think is basically pretty much criminally dangerous. Because if you know what's going on there and then you still go, all right, then on the bus to Chelmsford, lads, well, you know, what's to stop them doing something now? I mean, what do you think? Do you stop the bus services at least?
I think, you know, people shouldn't be living it up. If you're waiting for an asylum claim, you should have dignity and, you know, not be living in a slum. But I don't think you should be living it up or getting free bus rides or, you know, free whatever.
Yeah, secure.
I mean, I don't think in the hotels, the doctors and engineers, but I think, you know, it is. I know it's become a bit of a trope, but our economy is supported by migrants at the moment because of the way we've built it. Over the last 20 years, we have built it to be supported. The Cameron era, that Eastern European labour, our construction industry is completely supported. That's absolutely not true. 2012. 2012.
Blair,
well, even whether it's Blair, Cameron, Brown, whomever, our economy is.
I do agree with you, but I don't think you can compare the Eastern European worker to what we're seeing now. I think that's very unfair. I think it's a very different argument.
Well, I think there's a difference between an Eastern European asylum seeker and an Eastern European legal migrant, as the same that there's a difference between a Middle Eastern asylum seeker and a Middle Eastern migrant.
You can't call them asylum seekers from Eastern Europe. They were at least allowed to come with...
Well, but do you know what I mean? Asylum seekers and migrants are different. All right. Asylum seekers and migrants are two different things.
OK. Well, another lively start. Be very keen to see what people at home make of some of that footage as well. So, yes. Right, Home Office spokesperson. We've been to the Home Office. They said this. Although some of the footage is 2 years old, criminal behaviour in any form is utterly unacceptable. We and the police expect we and the public expect the police to act decisively when reports of such activities are made. The government has listened and learned. We will continue to take account of the views and needs of local communities in every decision that we make. We have sent a stark message to those with no right to be here, with nearly 50,000 illegal migrants removed or deported since the election. Can I just say as well, just be clear, we did also put that to the people who are providing the accommodation, and we did also go as well to Essex Police on that. So we have, really been there.